Yo, what's poppin', guys? You got your boy Nandra here. Welcome to another video. So for this video, it's gonna be an intro to building. So it's gonna be a slightly longer intro to building overall. Probably gonna be about like 40 minutes. Well, not really 40 minutes, probably like half an hour around. Anyway, so as you can see from the deck roulette, this is PDK. Alright, so as you know, PDK as an archetype, I do enjoy playing quite a bit. It's one of the more it's one of the harder sort of archetypes of Dragon to play, just because like not everything is kind of like, you know, just kind of like handed to you or whatever. You kind of have to work towards it. Additionally, from a deck builder's perspective, it's also pretty good as well, just because in my opinion you can't really do pure PDK anymore. Like you usually have to like make it a hybrid of some sort, and trying to find the hybrid that you want to use is gonna be like a sort of like, it's kind of like how you like, I guess, like accentuate your style when you're like playing PDK, and that to me is like always like kind of fascinating. So initially, before we talk about this first as I was playing, why am I playing PDK? Because PDK is actually just, surprisingly pretty decent in the current meta game. Like, you can play into Haven and have it like not be such an awful matchup. You can play it into Sword. At the moment, like most swords that you're seeing right now are usually going to be aggro sword, which is in an effort to try to counter the Haven decks or whatnot. And PDK has generally dealt pretty well with aggro, just because like you have some tools that have to be anti-aggro that works out in a very very nice fashion. Anyway, so. However, alright, so while I was making these lists, it wasn't because I made them specifically going to just be like, okay, I'm making this so I can play it myself now. My boy Kiri was like, okay, let me go ahead and let me shop for some deck lists. Do you have any deck lists from your non-Jero? And I was like, okay, well, let me go ahead and see what I got for you, whatever. It took me too long to get back to him, so he was like, okay, give me something for PDK. I was like, okay, cool. So I went ahead and I tried to make two different styles of PDK deck, just because I didn't know exactly which one he wanted, because I didn't know exactly how he plays PDK. I know how he plays like Ram Dragon and things like that. Well, yeah, I know how he plays like things like Ram Dragon and things like just like mid-range style of Dragon and whatnot. Which I knew that he didn't want to have Sybils and Ayla. Well, in PDK you actually do have to have Ayla. You don't have to have Sybil, but you do have to have Ayla. Things like that. So without further ado, this is like the first system and I made for him really quickly. This is like the more streamlined version of PDK, where like you kind of just aim to either just like hit them with the aggro curve, hit them with PDK, and then hit them with the aggro curve, and then and with like Ionet or Hippogriff, or hit them with a or kind of hit them with the sort of like, I guess, like kind of like ramp curve, and then play the PDK, to then like transition into finding time to play out the Ionet, have the Ionet just like hit them for a billion, things like that. This list was, again, like this is one of the lists. Well, this is very, very similar to one of the lists that like first came out when PDK as a card first came out. It even has like throwbacks to that, like Staircase to Paradise. I'm just playing two Staircase to Paradise, and that's just because like I felt like it was going to be pretty good, because like as you can see, I don't really have that many ways to draw cards or just like generate cards for free, which is why I like Staircase. Staircase can also help you dig for Oro and things like that. It's kind of cool. But yeah, so while I was building this, I also like thought of like, okay, well, like what else do I know that I think is like pretty good in PDK? Enter the second list, PDK Jerva. So before we even get into this, let me go ahead and talk about Jerva really quickly. I know when Jerva first got revealed or whatever, a lot of people said this card's gonna be shitty or whatever. Like, I know a lot of my friends were like, oh my god, Nandra, you're drunk. This card isn't good or whatever. Like, what are you even thinking? And then flash forward to like a week or two later, and a lot of people are like, oh my god, okay, Nandra, we're so sorry. Like, the card is actually a lot better than we thought it was. I think one of the things that kind of like got to people, like when they were thinking about like things like PDK, things like Jerva and things like Limor, whatever, is a lot of people are under the false mistake, or under like the false belief or whatever. They have to like build towards these. So you have to like they have to like just, you know, they have to make these decks like centered on this like one goal, and just, you know, kind of like make them sort of like a turbo deck where you just kind of like rush towards this as fast as possible and then you just kind of win somehow. That's not really how these cards function, I think. Generally in Dragon, like you want to try to you want like your win cons or whatever, like to kind of like be a sort of like hybrid. You want them to kind of like, you know, mesh together and do like other things. And that's the case here. Generally, in my opinion, if you can play things preceding the Jerva and have that be like good, then like you can play the jerva for free, and then like you can do other things after the jerva comes out and then win, sort of like that. So this list that I'll be talking about in the actual games and things like that. This is the one I'm going to go into detail while I'm talking about like all these cards or whatever, because there are some cards I'm playing that are like that, you know, kind of interesting, and the other cards that like I'm not playing, which is of course is, you know, also interesting, because why aren't you playing this? So going down the list, 2 Blazing Breath. Like, I'm pretty sure Blazing Breath is, I don't know, like I literally talk about this in all my videos, but like it just 2 is pretty staple. Like there at the moment there's like no real reason not to play 2, just because like it hoses aggro. It's really good on the fly, things like that. It's pretty solid. 1 Dragon Sword, or Dragon Horde. So as you notice from this list, I'm not playing Staircase in this list. I'm not playing Staircase because like this one required me to actually play more creatures than anything else in order to like facilitate the jerva, which we'll talk about when we get to that. Also, as you can see here, I don't have as much like direct like storm damage reach as opposed to the last deck, because in the last deck I had like 3 Ina. I also had like 2 Hippogriff or whatever, but this one I only have 2 Ina. And so this actually helps, because like one of the things that you'll do a lot of times is you actually go ahead and you'll actually play the Dragon Horde for 3 at some point. At some point during the game, you'll play for 3, because like if you play for 1, that's like kind of a waste to me most times. But yeah, so you'll play for 3, right? You'll play for 3, and at some point, maybe sounding like your like first 10 mana turn. What you'll do is you'll go ahead and you'll go Maelstrom Dragon, Ina. Maelstrom Dragon, Ina by itself is, I believe it's, how much is that? 3. It's 7 damage. It's 7 damage without Evo, and that's assuming that your opponent has nothing else on the board, and that you yourself don't have Evos or anything like that. So it's pretty potent. It's a pretty potent combo. They can just kind of build towards and things like that. The Maelstrom Dragons themselves are also really good under PDK, just because like you can use them as essentially like 2/1 rushers, essentially, because sometimes you do actually trade with these guys. Use them as like 2/1 rushers or whatever in order to like, kind of like make it so your PDK can stay on the board and like stay evolved and things like that. Which again I'll cover as we get to that. 3 Summoner is pretty core. It helps you keep up on cards. It also has a lot of synergy in this deck, just because like you actually play a surprising amount of like one attack units. Like you play Matilda, you play Singer. You also sometimes play the Twilight Whelp, or I think it's called Twilight Whelp, things like that. So most times you can use it kind of like double bump into this thing, or whatever you're kind of trading to, which on the board itself is like a net loss, but overall it's actually about a net gain, because literally almost every single card in this deck like usually gets you another card, things like that. And the Matilda, again, the Fire Lizard that you get from Matilda is actually very, very strong, because again, a lot of 1-attack units here, so you kind of like make trades into units, or you get value traded into. The Fire Lizard comes out, kills a unit, then kills another unit because he has 2 attack, and 2 attack is relevant, things like that. 3 Ayala, most times you actually play that, well, not most times, but sometimes you actually play the Ayala as a 2/2, and that'll be perfectly fine here, since you're not really as hard set on ramping as you might be in other types of dragon decks, and that's one of the things that's like really cool about Ayla, is that like it gives you things to do when you need the ramp and when you don't need the ramp, and that's kind of cool. Just, you know, nice flexibility there. 2 Somniferous White Worms. This one is actually a very big deal. If you notice in my list, I'm not playing a single Sybil. Nope, no Sybils for me. Nope, no thank you. And the reason for that is because like Sybil, a lot of times, without an Evo, Sybil usually kind of comes out as a tempo loss. Now, granted, pre-nerf, that wasn't always the case, just because like as a 4/5, she's a lot more threatening, because she was actually a lot harder to kill. But now you can just Evo 2-drop into her, just kill it, and have the 2-drop even live at that most times. So I knew I most likely wasn't going to play that, and so instead I did want to find some form of healing somewhere. So, because again, like as far as healing goes, it's not about like how often you heal. It's not always about how often or even how much you heal. It's just that like they have the ability to do it just once, at least once. Sometimes it's enough to change the course of the game. And Somniferous is actually nice, because like Somniferous has synergy with PDK. Well, 2 forms of synergy with PDK. 1, it's something you can play for cheap with the PDK. That'll trigger the PDK. 2, it can help you dig into PDK with the Dragon Dust it gives you, and things like that. It's like really, really cool. And of course, like the extra healing that you get is just like a nice bonus on top of that. You won't the dragons they get from this is like kind of slow sometimes, because like unless you play this on 2, you usually most likely won't be able to play up. Usually won't be able to play the dragons they get for at least, or so you won't be able to get the draw and the heal from dragons. That's about, I don't know, maybe like 2.5 turns after you like play this card. Sometimes 3, sometimes more than that, depending like what your hand is. But it's still pretty strong. Through Oracle, again with PDK, you do care slightly about the ramp. Like for example, if you have the PDK in your hand already, if you care a little bit more about ramp than you do about like board tempo. Although obviously both are important. But with the Oracle, you get to make some like really nice plays. Like for example, going first, you can go Oracle into Waters of the Orca to get 2 Orcas. If you reverse the slow deck, like for example, if you reverse either a slow deck or a deck that for some reason may not be in a spot to punish you for doing this, again, obviously this implies they're going first. You can go ahead and you can do that. They can like play it like more creatures. Like for example, you can go ahead and play out Somniferous plus Roy, or like say Somniferous plus Aficionado, or things like that. But basically, it lets you make a lot of very aggressive plays that kind of like let you flat out onto the board. And if your opponent has a swing card Evo, well, they're not be able to use it for another like 2 turns. And just like you just get to get so much free damage on your opponent and put them under a lot of pressure and kind of stop them from doing things that they might want to do. Additionally, you can play the Waters of the Orca for 8 under the PDK. This is actually one of the strongest interactions that exists in this deck, just because a lot of times with PDK, in order to actually get value from it, you kind of have to thread the needle of being able to play out cards that you have to play because you can't fall behind on board, and then holding enough fuel for the PDK. This is 1 card fuel for PDK, gives you a full board and lets you trigger PDK not once, not twice, but 4 times if you like. 4 times. And that's just really insane. To Singer, Singer is, in a lot of cases, it's usually better than the Staircase. Well, granted, when Staircase was 1 mana, that was different. It was usually Staircase that was better, but now the Staircase is 2 mana. Like, Singer is usually a lot better just because Singer is a creature, and it being a creature is actually very relevant. No, you can't use it to proc PDK, but you can use it to build up a hand size to make your PDK better, and that's the essential focus point here. Additionally, with all the 1 mana pings and things like that, with all the pings in general that we have, and additionally with the synergy with Matilda, it makes Singer here a lot better than it is in other decks. 3 Scyther, this is pretty much a no-brainer, but for those of you who somehow still have not gotten the memo, you will probably play 3 Scyther up until this card rotates, and then you'll just like play 3 of this in like a limited or whatever. Well, maybe, yeah, you'll probably still play 3 of this in limited or whatever, just because like the amount of tempo that this card gives you sometimes is ridiculous. Like, oh hey, your opponent played a fatty or whatever, okay, go ahead, 3 mana, remove that fatty that they spent 8 mana on, just win the game, things like that. Cards are very difficult to deal with sometimes for people, and it's just, I don't know, like it just lets you win games that you might not have won otherwise. Pretty strong, I don't know. 1 Master of Draconic Arts. This one is actually a big one. I know this one's gonna be one of those, but not sure why. So one of the things that I'm taking note of is the fact that like the Aggro Dragon is actually back in vogue right now. Well, just Aggro in general, but in particular Aggro Dragon. And a lot of times, what you can do versus Aggro Dragon is, okay, well, you just find a word or whatever. You find a word that has like some mass amount of like base HP like this. You evolve the board. You go ahead and you deal with their board at the same time, and then boom, you suddenly cannot lose unless of course you were so far behind, in which case it didn't matter if you did or didn't have the word. And that's kind of the role that the Master of Draconic Arts has. Most times when I've played this card, it's always felt like pretty good to play. Just because it's a 4 HP ward. 4 HP pushes it right on out of range of common removals, and just kind of makes it so it's like really annoying for people to deal with. And that's kind of what you want to do in this deck. You want to have like a lot of very difficult cards for people to deal with, and that's kind of what this early game does. 1 Star Phoenix from Square Enix. So this one again, this one's kind of a gimme, but like it lets you do something on 3 that's like proactive. Like for example, if you're going second, you're first aggro, this card is going to be a godsend for you. Like this card, like it helps you contest the board, so this way you don't take nearly as much damage. You can make value trades if you need to. If you're like versus like bad aggro or something like that, you can make a full trade if you need to, and just around like 2-drop whatever. But yeah, like this card has a lot of synergy. Like additionally, it constantly helps you build up your hand size for PDK if need be. And then later in the game, when you run out of Evos, this card is really cool, because again, under PDK, this card essentially reads, okay, 3 mana, 2 rush, deal 2 damage to a unit, deals 2 damage to another unit as well, because you're gonna go and trade into another unit. That's very, very strong for busting up boards in the late game. You don't really ever need to really play more than one. Like just one is pretty fine, just because like again you can fetch it off of summoner. You can just like draw it naturally, and any more than one, because it's not an optional effect, because it's a mandatory effect, can cause you to overdraw it. So might as well just play one. Yeah. 2 Dragon Aficionado. So this one is a big one as well. Like, oh, I'm sorry, the Fire Drake Whelp. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, the Fire Drake Whelp that you get from this is actually really annoying for a lot of people to deal with, and you'll see a lot of people try to make plays like banish it if possible, if they're Haven or if they're Portal Craft, things like that. It's pretty good versus that like Forest Craft as well, just because like yes, it does have issues versus Brambles, but like if it helps you kind of like blow up the Brambles, and if they don't have Brambles, you just get to blow up like 2 fairies for free. It's really nice. Lots of different things you can do with it. Additionally, and this is the other important thing, it lets you go on 7 mana PDK Aficionado, get 2 procs of PDK, possibly blow up a 3rd unit on top of that, and put the Evo, things like that. Just very, very solid. Dragon Cleaver Roy. So this one is another big one, because the way I use this one is not the way that a lot of people would use this one. It's actually one of the things that both me and Kiri are kind of in agreement with, is that most times when you play the Roy, you will actually like, unless you have their bases mechanics, you will actually get the removal and not the ramp. The removal is actually a lot better, just because like the ramp, yeah, you can ramp or whatever, but like it's not, the ramp in the current game is not as it was like literally just like last month or whatever, in which you could just like ramp and just be like, oh, haha, I have behind, or haha, I have Saha issue or whatever. Now when you do, you have to have like, well, you have to have, I don't know, I guess like specific like intent for what you're doing, and most times just being able to just play that creature is actually a lot better. And just, you know, hold their removal and just like use it to make a lot of like tempo-ish plays and things like that. It also helps trigger PDK, and it's also very, very good in the mirror. Well, both in the mirror as well as just versus like Dragon as a whole. Because this helps you blow up like very, very, very crazy things that would otherwise like put you in a bad spot. Like for example, a really cute play that I've actually done a few times. Although this won't be in the concept games, but a cute play I've done a few times is actually play Roy, get the removal, and then 4 mana, play their removal to deal 6 to a Frenzied Drake, and then just clear it off with a Fire Lizard. Like that play is so funny. I don't know. It's just so funny because like it's for so cheap, and you killed such a big dude with it. Don't know. Alright, so next we'll go ahead and cover the PDK herself. So PDK, this is the card they built the deck around. Like this card is just, it's nuts. Like there are some games where like if you play this card and this card doesn't die on the first turn it comes out, you straight just win the game. Like you just win the game. How I play the PDK is a little bit different than how other people play the PDK. I usually try to put, well, ever since her nerf, you usually want to try to put yourself in such a spot where you can play the PDK and then pre-evolve the PDK. Like you always want to pre-evolve the PDK, just because like unless you know your opponent like is otherwise has no other way to remove her. If she's unevolved, like the pre-evolve just does wonders for you. Like it just makes it so hard for your opponent to get rid of it. With the exception of I think maybe Shadow and mainly just Shadow, Portal, and then Haven are like the only ones that like it's kind of tricky to figure out like which version, which mode of her you're gonna try to play her in. But most times, again, she comes out, she starts blowing up boards, you know, starts popping off. If she sticks, you then get access to Waters of the Orca, and you just get to pop off even more, just blow up a board. Because again, Waters of the Orca, like if you play for 8 mana, you trigger your PDK 4 times, so your opponent takes 4 damage, their entire board takes 8 damage. Most times, most board states you don't usually have above like, I know, about like 6 HP total, so most times it's usually enough to blow up the board as long as you get the juggles right. Granted, versus things like say Haven, it's a little bit less likely to get all the juggles off correctly and blow up the board perfectly, but it's still doable just because you have things like Scyther. Scyther's a bro. Just so good. To Aina. So again, for this list, the big thing for me is that I did obviously want like storm damage creatures, because like I wanted to make sure that there were like a few different ways for me to win in this deck, not just one. Like I didn't want to just be, you know, PDK or bust, or just like jerva or bust, or just like something, or just playing something like that. Like when you play decks, in particular when you play dragon decks in general, you need to have multiple forms of, okay, this is how I can win, or this is how I can win, or whatever. Just because like if you put yourself on needing one card and they just like don't draw the one card, you feel so bad. But if you give yourself extra like redundancy or whatever, like you're in a much better spot. Like this gives you extra redundancy. Like this is insane versus aggro. Like because what you can do versus aggro is you make a lot of value trades or whatever. Yeah, keep your board nice and healthy. They'll keep developing creatures or whatever. Oh hey, look at that! I played an Ina. This Ina does 12. Ha! Yeah, good. Nice game, buddy. Nice game. You just like kill them. Very strong for that. Now, part of the reason why it's not a 3 or whatever is because like even though you can do things like that, there are also just as many games where you're like the Ina can kind of like whiff and only hit for like 3 damage as opposed to like like the 8 or 9 damage that I note that's very like realistic for it to hit for. So not really like 3 of material. Well, in this list in particular. One Oro. So again, one of the things that you need to do when you're playing with PDK is you need to be able to balance out playing cards and then setting up for PDK if you don't have the PDK, and then being able to play things after you have the PDK. The Oro gives me some inevitability. Inevitability is really strong, again, especially in stuff like PDK, because although here it's a little bit better because like you have like synergy with jerva as well. Like something you can do when you're under jerva is you can go ahead and you can just go Oro, ping a unit, kill the unit, and then another unit that they play another unit that they have on board will die, or they'll just straight up take 5 damage from jerva, and that's very strong. Like it helps you just make the Oro just a giant ass menace for your opponent to deal with. Because like for the most part, even though last month people were playing a lot of Fall from Grace and things like that, we're back to where we were beforehand, before all of like I absolutely have to banish the scows or whatever. Where now realistically only Portal, Haven, and sometimes Sword have banished to get rid of guys you have. Obviously, sometimes Rune as well. If you reverse like Burn Rune, and you have like they have like the mini Dragon Bolt, but Burn Rune is a pretty favorite matchup for you in the first place. They have like the Aura just does really annoying things to your opponent and just kind of makes them fall behind. And it also helps you build up cards for PDK turns if you need to like fish for that, things like that. Just solid card overall. Can be any happier to be playing this to be playing this card at least one more time before it like rotates. Ozzy the Haka. So again, and I know at this point a lot of you guys are probably wondering, but Nandro, why do you have like why do you have like four or five? Yeah, why do you have like 6 different 1-ofs? This is because like because like you actually have a lot of draw. Now, if you didn't have draw and if these couldn't be tutored, that'd be a different story altogether. Just because like you wouldn't have nearly as much like wiggle room for playing them in. But for these 1-ofs, like you play these because with the exception of Dragon Horde, all of these can be searched by Summoner, and all these fulfill very specific functions. Like again, the Oro gives you inevitability, Jerva gives you inevitability, Ozzy Haka gives you reach, Dragon Horde gives you reach, and then of course Star Phoenix and then Master Draconic Arcs, they help you control board states, things like that. Very solid overall. And of course the last card, Jerva. So I mentioned this a few times when I started like talking about the deck and whatnot, but like Jerva is one of those cards, like, if you're going to play Jerva, I don't really think you play, like, like, a shape just, okay, well, I played Jerva and that's it. I don't think that's the thing that works. I think if you're playing this, you probably play some, maybe, say, mid-range Dragon, or if you play it in PDK, things like that. You could possibly even play it in, like, regular Ramp Dragon if you wanted to, but you do need to build around it. And in this case, the way I build around it is that, like, I put out enough initial pressure that you're so far behind that when I play at the Jerva just gives you inevitability. Like, it just makes it so, okay, well, if you ever try to play one creature alone, boom, that creature is always going to die unless it's like Aegis. That creature's always going to die if it's Aegis. If you're already behind on board when I played the Jerva in the first place, okay, well, this Jerva is now a 5/5 or a 7/7. That guarantees that they put yourself in a spot where you can only play one creature a turn because I'm going to go ahead and pressure you out. Things like that. It just kind of like forces your opponent into a very bad spot a lot of times, especially under PDK, because these kind of work in tandem with each other. The PDK clears the board for Jerva to then hit face to get even more face damage. Like I've had some games in which I've been able to do a combination of, I think, up to like 8 or 9 damage from just being able to play from just like jerva pings and also PDK pings as well. And that's pretty legit a lot of times. It's not uncommon for you sometimes win games by doing this. Like in one of the games I have in the concept games for you guys, I believe I dealt 14 damage from jerva pings and PDK pings to my opponent. That was pretty funny. But yeah, but this is the deck for the most part. It's not terrible. Well, okay, I lied. It's not completely super expensive or whatever. Like it's not like full wallet or whatever. I'm using 7 legendaries and like 8 golds, 9 golds, something like that. So it's not, it's not like cheap, but it's not like, it's mega expensive either. It's probably about like 30k, something like that. The deck does feel pretty, well, it might be a little bit more than 30k, but yeah, the deck does feel like pretty nice to play overall. I'll actually be playing this on my stream tomorrow for you guys if you guys want to come through and watch. But yeah, if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. See